Greetings, Academy football fans. The national election has come and gone, and as the dust settles from that battle, there's another battle brewing in West Point. Hello everyone, I'm Graham Knight, and come this weekend, Academy football fans may bear witness to a change of leadership. When it comes to the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, that is. Navy won it last year, and Army had it for 2 years before that, but Air Force has a chance to take it all back on Saturday. It was 2016 when Air Force last won the CIC trophy, but a victory over Army this weekend, and the Falcons will claim more than just the CIC trophy. But it won't be easy. Since 2017, Army is 21-2 at Michie Stadium, and they are 6-1 this season, their best start since 1996. But if Air Force can find its groove like it did against Navy back on October 3rd with a resounding 40-7 win, the decision will be final, and the Commander-in-Chief's trophy will be locked in the Falcons trophy case for the next year. But what might be sweeter still? A win on Saturday for Air Force, and Falcons head coach Troy Calhoun can claim his 100th career coaching victory. We're going to devote most of our program to the upcoming matchup between the Black Knights and the Falcons. But first we're going to start with Navy. Jon Meterparel joins me now to break down Navy's recent game against SMU and preview their upcoming matchup against American Athletic Conference leader, Tulsa. Jon?
All right, thanks, Graham. After controlling Navy's triple option for most of the second half, number 22 SMU beat the midshipmen 51-37. Navy had some flashes of greatness, but some tough mistakes ultimately cost them the game. One mishap came when SMU should have been pinned inside their 5 for their first possession of the second half. Instead, Devin Matthews on the goal line batted away a bouncing punt. SMU took over at the 20, and Shane Buechele threw a 42-yard bomb to Austin Upshaw.
I thought we got off to a good start. We shot ourselves in the foot a couple times, and against a team like that, you can't do that.
Buechele was terrific. He made 23 completions for 300 yards and no interceptions. But for SMU, the true numbers were in their ground game. For the first time since 1998, they had more yards on the ground at 255 compared to Navy's 191. One run was a brutal blow to the Navy defense. When Tyler rolled over a pile without his knee touching the ground, he was then able to pop up and he ran the final 40 yards. He finished the day with 74. The midshipmen were also throwing more than usual, potentially because the Mustangs had complete control of the triple option in the second half. And the defensive unit, 12 tackles for loss.
We're still running option, you know what I mean? But we're throwing the ball a little bit more. We probably threw the ball more than we wanted to, but a lot of it is just to score. You know what I mean? That we don't want to throw the ball 30 times a game. So we're going to continue to be who we are, play, probably throw the ball a little bit more than we have in the past. And I've said that earlier, we don't want to throw the ball in the 30s, but most of that is just because we were down so much.
Ulysses Bentley IV was a major force on the run for SMU. He had 2 touchdowns and nearly 150 yards. On one touchdown, he had a filthy lateral juke that led him to having a clear diagonal shot at the end zone. Tiger Gosselin was given the chance to air it out at quarterback for Navy in the 4th. He threw for 2 touchdowns to Jamel Carruthers and Michael Cooper.
It's just we were down by so much, you know what I mean? And just so, just like, hey, let's give Tiger a shot. That's basically what it was. We were down by 28 points, or however much we were down by. And so it's just at the end of the game and just let Tiger get in there and see what he could do. And he went in there and acquitted himself well. I thought he did a good job. And we'll see, we got to get back and watch the film and see what Coach Jasper thinks, and we'll discuss that as staff, kind of how we press forward.
Next week, the midshipmen look to bounce back against Tulsa.
I think Tulsa's always been an underrated team. Every year in the conference, they've always been good, but they've had these close losses to people. And you just go back and look at them over the years. I mean, they've always had these close losses. They play with everybody. You know what I mean? And they've, lost games with some last-second field goals or different things. I mean, Monty's a really good football coach. What they do on offense presents everybody trouble. They spread you out and pound the football. And then if you don't, try to shore up the run game, if you don't shore the run game out, they can just keep pounding you with the ball. And then if you try to get people involved in the run game, they, really good on the edges. And so, like I said, I just feel like the ball is going their way this year. I've always felt they've been a good football program. And even though they might not have won those games, there were a lot of close losses.
The Golden Hurricane coming off a 34-30 win over East Carolina as they improved to 3-1. Quarterback Zach Smith, he passed for 253 yards and 2 scores. Last season, Navy rolled to a 45-17 victory. Malcolm Perry rushed for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. That Navy ground attack punished Tulsa. Meanwhile, Navy Athletic Director Chet Gladchuk and Army AD Mike Buddy recently announced the Army-Navy game will be held at West Point December 12th. The game was moved from Philadelphia and will be played for the first time at a home stadium since World War II. Navy has won 15 of the last 18 matchups. Now let's go to Diane with a recap of the Air Force game.
With nearly 500 yards of offense and a 14-minute advantage in time of possession, you'd think Air Force would have come out on top. But big plays, poorly timed mistakes, and a hot transfer quarterback all combined for a runaway 19-point victory by Boise State over the Falcons. The 49-30 loss to the Broncos dropped Air Force to 0-2 in the Mountain West Conference and snapped a 9-game home winning streak dating back to 2018. For the second week in a row, the Falcons went up against a transfer quarterback, making his first start with a new team. Bronco quarterback Hank Bachmeier didn't travel with the team, and Boise State started Jack Sears, who graduated from Southern Cal this spring. And Sears started fast. On the first play of the game, he connected on a 75-yard touchdown strike to C.T. Thomas, and the Broncos had a quick 7-0 lead just 10 seconds into the game.
Yeah, that was a big thing that was on our minds, like, got to come right back at them. We were down 7. Got to put points up on the board.
And the Falcons answered with a 75-yard 9-play drive capped by a 7-yard TD run by wide receiver Brandon Lewis, the first of his Falcons career. Lewis's perimeter running accounted for 56 of the 75 yards, and the wideout finished with 112 yards on the ground for the game.
I'm willing to do anything to try to contribute to the team and help my team win. So I don't really care what I'm playing. I just want to be out there, and it doesn't really matter to me.
Later in the first, Falcons quarterback Hazik Daniels was injured on a 4-yard run and left the game. Backup Warren Bryan continued the Falcons' 87-yard drive, highlighted by a 50-yard run from sophomore running back Elijah Robinson down to the Broncos' 21, his first ever collegiate carry. Lewis added another 17-yard run down to the 4-yard line. And then fullback Matthew Merla capped things off with a 1-yard run to give Air Force a 14-7 lead. It would be the first of 2 scores on the day for the senior. In the second quarter, the Air Force offense stalled as Boise State scored 3 touchdowns, including just before the half after a penalty-filled 3-and-out for the Falcons. And the Broncos had a 28-17 lead at halftime.
Yeah, that was super tough for us. We just got to play better and execute better in our 2-minute. And hold them for the half ends.
The teams exchanged punts to start the third, but in Air Force's second possession, they had a 6-minute, 59-second drive that ended in a missed field goal. The Broncos answered with a 6-play, 78-yard drive in just over 3 minutes, capped by a 26-yard TD pass from Sears to Thomas again, his second score of the game, and Boise State was up 35-17. The Falcons used a fourth quarter, 12-play, 75-yard drive, capped off by Merla's second touchdown to cut the lead again to 11, 35-24. But on the ensuing kickoff, Bronco return man Avery Williams galloped 88 yards for a score to once again give Boise State an 18-point lead, 42-24. It was Williams' 6th career return for a touchdown. The final Falcons touchdown was engineered by backup quarterback Ben Britton, a 75-yard drive capped off by a 5-yard TD from running back Bo Gross with just over 2 minutes left in the game. Always a man of few words, Falcons coach Troy Calhoun tipped his hat to the Broncos quarterback Jack Sears. The grad transfer finished the game 17 of 20 for 280 yards passing and 3 touchdowns.
That their quarterback was really, really good. And I think just when it came down to quality execution, they did a heck of a job.
For the Falcons, the return of their 2 top offensive linemen, Nolan Laufenberg and Kyle Krebs, translated into a strong day on the ground with 415 yards rushing, despite missing their 2 top rushers. But penalties and poor execution stymied drives throughout the game. So execution is the watchword for the Falcons going forward.
We just got to execute better, and every man has to hit their assignments well, and I don't think we did that good enough, especially in the second half, so we just got a lot to improve on.
For Lewis, it was a bittersweet game. One of the fastest Falcons, he's become a feature part of the offense from his slot position after losing his standing and was forced to sit out last season.
I have a great support system around me and people that kept me going. And, I mean, I have an amazing group of teammates around me too, so I just kept my head up and kept pushing forward and really leaned on them during hard times. So.
Despite dropping 2 straight conference games, the focus turns quickly to Army. With a win in hand over Navy, the Falcons can claim the Commander-in-Chief's trophy for the first time since 2016 by beating the Black Knights.
We're just going to keep our heads up and look forward to Army. That's the only thing on our mind right now.
This gives us a good opportunity to do well, to change the season, how it's going right now.
And I think it would feel great to go out there and win a CIC, so we're looking forward to it, and we're just going to keep pushing and moving forward.
The Falcons last won in Michie Stadium in 2016. Head coach Troy Calhoun has won 4 of 6 games at Army since he's been head coach. And of course, should he win Saturday, then he will reach the century mark, 4 wins at Air Force Academy. Graham.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate your great behind-the-lines reconnaissance. All right, Army fans, it's time to preview the big game this weekend. Here's Erin Summers with the latest on the Army Black Knights. Erin?
The Commander-in-Chief's Trophy awards ultimate bragging rights to one of the 3 major service academies. It's a round-robin battle between Army, Navy, and Air Force. This year, Air Force took a commanding 40-7 win over Navy. This Saturday, it's the second leg of the CIC as Army hosts the Falcons. Army is 6-1 on the season and coming off a strategic bye week, giving the Black Knights extra time to prepare for Air Force.
We're on the same offense, so just practicing against each other, but at the same time utilizing a bye week after playing 7 football games this season. So we've spent a good amount of time focusing on Air Force. We focused a lot on ourselves and our own improvements, and I think it's been great.
It just allows us to get into to have a couple of weeks to get into playing option defense, and what is always the case with these academy games is these offenses are really good at what they do.
While the Black Knights offense has faced a lot of adversity with 4 different quarterbacks seeing time this season, the defense has been stout, ranking 8th nationally in total defense, allowing only 275 yards per game. The 1-2 Falcons are coming off a 49-30 loss to number 25 Boise State. Air Force has seen 17 players start for the first time in their career this season. However, their notorious run game hasn't taken a hit. The Falcons are 2nd nationally with 330 yards on the ground per game.
I think one thing about it is the triple option. I mean, that's just a different style of football, and it's something pretty unique to the service academies. So the way that we all 3 of us academies run that on offense and obviously defend that on defense, I think that in itself makes it a pretty special game. And then obviously just trying to win the CIC, and that's a coveted trophy, and we're after it every year.
Any matchup between these service academies brings with it a lot of emotion and motivation to win. This one has even more on the line.
So the game from last year was definitely one of the most critical games of the season because it was one of those games that determined whether or not we would be bowl eligible or not. And, given the outcome, it left a bad taste in our mouths.
Huge game for us, a huge game for them as well. Because if they beat us, then, they get the CIC. But if we beat them, we can possibly also beat Navy, get the CIC back to us. And that's, ever since June 1st, that's been a real big goal for us, just getting the CIC back. We got an empty trophy case in our locker room, and every day we look at it. So we're reminded of, what we need to do to get the trophy back here.
Knowing that we're playing in one of our most held rivalries in all of college football, I think the guys, including myself, are very energized, and it's just a lot of energy going into this game, and I think the guys just really can't wait to get after it.
Obviously, this week is a big game for us. We haven't had a bigger game this year than the one we're going to play this weekend, so I know our guys are excited for the opportunity and certainly what's at stake when we play the academy games and the opportunity to earn the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. So it's always a great game. It's always a tremendous battle, and hopefully we'll play well enough this Saturday that we can make it a battle again.
A win Saturday secures a record 21 CIC trophy titles for the Falcons. The players talked about it. That 2019 matchup between Air Force and Army is coming up next. The Army-Navy game has become a cornerstone of the college football season. It's the 11th oldest rivalry in the country, and it carries a lot of pride. However, with the start of the Commander-in-Chief's trophy in 1972, the rivalry between all three service academy schools, Army, Navy, and Air Force, has only grown. Here's a look at the history between Air Force and Army. The first Army-Air Force game was played on Halloween 1959 in a packed Yankee Stadium. The game ended in a 13-13 tie, the only tie in the series. The Falcons hold a 37-16-1 advantage and are 13-11 at Army in CIC games. Last season, Air Force snapped a 2-game Army winning streak with a 17-13 win at home. After Army drove down the field in their opening possession, the Falcons put up a big defensive stand, denying the Black Knights on 4th and goal from the 1.
I think it was a crucial stop there early in the game. Because you look, I mean, there just aren't a whole lot of, there were a few more possessions today, but you got that feeling early in the game there might only be 3 possessions a half.
A field goal in the second put Air Force up 3-0. Army quickly answered on a 2-yard quarterback option from Jabari Laws. A missed PAT made it 6-3 Army at the half.
We got killed the opening drive by not scoring from the 4-inch line, and then missing the PAT. You know, those are opportunities lost, and those are the 2 biggest disappointments from the first half, and could have made a difference at the end there.
Late third quarter, fullback Timothy Jackson put the Falcons in front with a 1-yard touchdown run to make it 10-6.
Guys up front started I feel like the last half of the season just been pushing guys around, and so just making it easier for stuff to open up.
Army scored on its next play. Watch this.
Looking, fires over the middle, wide open, the catch made by Harrison. Midfield, 40, 30 to the left side, 20, he's gonna go.
An 87-yard pass from quarterback Jabari Laws. With just over 13 minutes to go, running back Joshua Stoner scored the go-ahead on a 5-yard run. Another big effort from the Falcons' D denied Army's attempts at a comeback. The back-and-forth affair ended 17-13 Air Force. The Falcons with 344 total yards, Army 343.
You know, we weren't getting them stopped. We had a 3rd and long down there on that end, and they ran the counter play for 15 and ended up getting a touchdown. We just didn't do a good job stopping the run.
So there were just so many plays that could have gone really. I mean, hey, and credit to the opponent too. My goodness, you know, the way they competed, the way their guys played. I mean, it's just one of those days where you think these are 2 schools that you want to embrace, and they do a lot of good things for our country, a bunch of good things, and the players certainly that are on the field, but also the student body.
Emotions run high after a rivalry game, and that last loss didn't sit well with Army. After the game, the Black Knights blocked the Air Force football Twitter account, and the Falcons let everybody know about it. They tweeted a picture of Army blocking their account and implored fans to tweet at Army and let them know who won the game. It was a move that went viral. Stay with us. On the other side, we'll have a look at a CIC game from the 1970s.
This Week in Academy Football History takes us to Falcon Stadium in Colorado on November 5th, 1977, when the Air Force Academy hosted the Cadets of West Point. Army featured a high-octane offense led by running backs Jim Merrican and Greg King. King's 44-yard run gave Army a 10-6 lead.
The play that broke it open was an option play against motion that got the ball pitched to Greg King, who ran behind Jim Merrican. Actually, Jim got all the way to the defensive back before he had to throw his block, threw it low, running full speed, and turned the man upside down.
It would be the first of 2 scores for King, who finished the day with 165 yards on 23 carries. American would add 105 yards of his own, 84 on the ground, 21 receiving for Army. Cadet quarterback Lehman Hall would add a third quarter 1-yard touchdown run to make it 17-6, and that's when the Army defense clamped down. Junior defensive back Phil Macklin stopped 2 Air Force drives with interceptions, the second one in the end zone to shut down the Falcons' threat. Air Force had 5 turnovers on the day. Meanwhile, the Cadets' ground game netted 288 yards. Army prevailed in the game 31-6 over Air Force, the fewest points ever scored in the series by the Falcons. Army would go on to win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy for only the second time ever that year, and 1977 would be the only winning campaign for Army coach Homer Smith in his 5 years at the helm at West Point.
All right, Academy football fans, that's just about going to do it for this episode of Behind the Lines. As we close out this show, we want to note that the Air Force football team will honor the Tuskegee Airmen again this weekend with the 2020 edition of the Air Power Legacy Series uniform. The Falcons debuted the special uniform for the season opener against Navy, and the team will wear it on Saturday. Please join us next week for a recap of the Air Force Army matchup and a preview of Army's upcoming game against Tulane. This will be the first time all season that both Army and Navy have faced the same opponent. We'll also preview Navy's game against Memphis and the Air Force matchup against Wyoming. If you want the latest information on Academy football, you know where to turn. We look forward to seeing you right here, same time, same channel, for another edition of Behind the Lines, the Academy Football Report. Have a great week, everyone. I'm Graham Knight. Thanks again for watching.